Good morning everyone and welcome back. We are herd testing this morning. It's our first one for the season. This is the second herd that's in here at the moment. Look out here, it's not raining. It has been so wet over the last couple of days. The cows were in that paddock down there and you can see they have just made a bit of a mess. It does look a little bit dark. They trampled a lot of the grass into the ground. Dad shot off, he's going to shut his cows away, which are just on top of the hill over there where I sprayed out for maize. I'm just waiting for a couple of these cows to finish. Cows like this, see the stool going, and then I can go through and change the flask. But I have tried something new this time around. It's these flasks here, so usually they're about that high, but I got the extended ones for this milking, so the cows aren't going to fill them up. They're not going to come close. They're probably made for big Frisian cows, but it's just so much easier because if the flask was there, see they would be pretty close to the top usually, so when you take them off you can spill a little bit, and we don't want that. We want the records as accurate as possible, so I've just ordered these ones this time around, and next time we'll go back to the small ones. There's no extra cost for these long ones. I thought, oh, we might as well try it and see how it goes, but yeah, I quite like it. They're pretty handy. After trialling this scanner back in, a couple of years ago, we would never go back to the old way. It is just so much easier. Such a time saver. And you just don't get any double ups with it either. This cow's lost her weight on here. See, it's supposed to be there because this unit is supposed to be on that side. That's what the weights are there for, to keep them down. But I will put one on probably, I might get a chance now. I might go and do it. It's pretty easy, take them off. You do have to slide the unit off. Once you got it like that, there is that ring there, you've got to pull that out too. Ready to go. And then through the block, pull the flap down, good to go. Doesn't take long. This third cow back here, number 319, she has just been milked, but she's probably one of the cows that gives the most milk. Her flask is this one here. So you can see it is pretty full. Probably would have overflown the smaller ones. But the interesting thing is that it doesn't really matter how much they give. Oh, that is good to see, but a cow, we'll pull that one out there. So there is a bit of difference in volume, but it depends on the milk solid. So they could be exactly the same. That one gives a lot more milk, but the fat's down, whereas that one gives a lot less and the fat's up, which means they could give the same amount of milk solids. And that's the whole reason we do these herd testers, so we can find out that information. We're getting there. There's one row in the yard and this one to milk, and then we are done. A little bit of drizzle has moved in, which I'm not surprised. This third cow back, this one right here, number 185, she's one of my favourites at the moment. Hopefully she milks well today. Although I'm pretty sure she was on heat yesterday, so if they are on heat, it's usually the day after they don't milk quite as well, because they're not eating as much as normal, because they're sort of getting ridden and walking around trying to get ridden. she's pretty much finished now. So not too bad, probably a little bit over halfway, but we'll know more once the results come back. Just finished washing up, so that's all the milk in the flasks there. There's just a couple of spare trays and all the gears washed and ready to be picked up. After saying that before, I actually did have 2 double ups. So it is pretty easy though, because when you put in a number twice, it comes up with an alert. So you can make sure that the number you are putting in is correct, so then the other one, or the first one you've put in, is wrong. And I made sure they were fine, the 2 of them, and then at the end I went back, and you can go and find cows that have a number but which haven't had a flask taken from them. So I went into that, and it was 2 easy things, like I'd put 159 twice, but one of them was 156, so they were pretty easy to sort out. But getting back to these collars, so these are the new weights that have turned up. See, they're round, because the problem I'm having with these square ones, these are the original, is that once they'd wore down in one end, I'm just trying to do this one-handed, it's a little bit hard. There we go. See, they were sliding off because one end was wearing out. It's really thin down there. So it's actually been getting knocked, probably from the feed bins on this end. This is the worn out end. And then the collar is it's been pushed back and sort of wearing that end out. So what is happening now is that these new weights are getting replaced on any that fall off. Tru-test is actually wearing it, not just for me, but anyone that's got the same weights as I do, to these new ones. And these are not the new ones, because the new ones are actually yellow, so it's going to look quite smart. There's also a different collar collar coming. The new collars are black, so there's 60 actually on order. They should be here any day now. And any collars that slip off, or any weights that slip off in the future, we'll just put the new ones on. And then at some point in the season, we'll try and get the whole herd switched over, so they all should have these new ones. But it's pretty cool, like, it's been remedied, so there was a problem, it's been sorted. Come on. It's been drizzling for the last couple of hours. A little bit of sun wouldn't hurt right about now. Not quite sure how much we've had, but that looks like it is roughly about 75 mils in there. Plus probably another 10, which I tipped out. So about 85 mils in the last sort of 5 days. It's made everything pretty soggy and wet again, but they are talking that we are heading into a very dry summer, so any bit of rain now should help out later on, I guess. It's always a positive somewhere. However, I thought today, since we're on the topic of the collars, it would be quite good to talk about them a little bit and see how they have been going. When we collared them back in, was it June? Blake came and helped us do the heifers. He said there was an update coming out soon when we did that, so I think it did come out within a couple of weeks. He said that there was a calving feature that was coming out with it. That hasn't come out, unfortunately. They just want to get it like bang on before they bring something out prematurely, and it's not quite there yet, but hopefully next calving, next year, it might be out. Interestingly though, it did pick up all the heifers. When they calved, it came through as a heat, so I'd sort of get a notification saying that this heifer was on heat, but well, I knew she wasn't, I just know that she'd calved. So I think the data is pretty similar, but like I was saying, they just want to get it sort of bang on before they bring something out too early. There is some pretty cool other features, so we're going to have a look. So I thought this might be the easiest way to show you just on my computer. I'd love to like screen record, but then I've got to put a voiceover and it might get a little bit muddled up. So this is just the easiest way I find. I'll just refresh it quickly. So everything's pretty current. Up the top here it says there's 16 animals on heat, which is good. I need to get 12 a day through mating to hit 90% after 3 weeks. So that's good to see early, and we've got another 10 days out. But the big thing that came out, what I was saying about that rumination, is over here in activity. So I'll click into that, and I have the 2 herds of cows here. The young herd, there's 126 in that mob, and in the high producers, there's 176. You can see there is a down arrow there, and I'll show you why soon. I'll click into there. And this is the rumination graph over, what's this, over 53 days. So you can see it does change a lot. It just changes heaps. And before this rain, so it came in on Friday night, where that line is there, you can see that the rumination has dropped off. I think it actually was Thursday night. So it was dropped off through that weather and it has gone low. Before that, they were ruminating about 500 minutes over 24 hours, which is good. Like, that's on the high side for us. So that's awesome to see. One other cool thing too is that if you come down here, see, this is the rumination minutes. It's between 380 and 487. So 487, anything over that is the 10% of this herd, and anything under 378 is 10%. So I can click into that like this, and it brings up the cows. And the cool thing about this is that you can go deviation from average. This cow here, she's 181 minutes below, ruminating, below the average of the herd. So we'll click into her and see why that is. And if you look down here, see these green spikes here? These are heat, so she is coming on heat. She's walking around a lot more, like I was saying earlier on, looking to get ridden and eating less. So that is why she's ruminating less, which is pretty cool to see. It's also quite cool to go the other way and seeing which cows are ruminating more. Like this, 59, she's ruminating 143 minutes more than the average. So it is quite cool information to have a little look at. I don't know why cows are ruminating more. I know why they can ruminate less, but I'm not sure why they do more. But she has just come off a heat, so maybe that's got something to do with it. And if I just click into the young herd, yesterday they ruminated for 451 minutes, which is pretty high. That's good for them. They have been a little bit lower than the other herd, so that's getting up there for them. But it is pretty cool, and it's pretty amazing how you feed them. You can actually see it come through pretty quickly, sort of what paddocks they go on. If you think they're not getting enough grass, it will show up on here. So we'll go home, and then we'll go into reproduction, because this is what is around, or what we're sort of doing a lot of at the moment. So these are the cows that are on heat at the moment, and I'm not too worried about the cows that are on heat, but the ones that aren't. So we'll go into reproduction issues, and see up the top here it says there's 26 anestrus and 10 irregular heats. I'm not too worried about the 10 irregular heats, but I'll click into the anestrus ones. And I had a little chat with Martha the other day, because since I have this information, I might as well do something with it. So I'll go into last calving. So the cow that calved the longest to go was 76 days, and she hasn't come on heat yet. So that is a little bit worrying. It says she's anestrus. So what I'm going to do is take any cows that have calved about 45 days ago. I think there's about 12 or 13 cows here. There's a few lower, but I'm not too worried about these ones. They sort of will come on. We'll see in about another week, because I've got the vet, Briar. She's coming out next, or on the 9th, I think it is. And what we're going to do is pull out all these cows that sort of calved within about 40-ish days and haven't come on heat. And she's going to scan them to see if there's anything wrong in there or something sort of holding them up. Martha said we should be able to treat about 70% of them. So what we're going to do is give some of them a PG shot, and then what we're going to do is give, I think it's about 50% will get a PG shot, and then 30% will get like the cedar program without the cedar. We did go through it, I just forget the name of things. So they'll get a shot, and it should bring about 70% of these cows on within the next 2 days, and then we will get a chance to AI them. So for some of these we might not be able to fix, and they might come on at some point. I have had quite a few cows that have come on heat after about 60 days after calving, so they might have had a hard calving and it's just taken them a little bit longer to recover. But since I've got this information, we might as well do something. It's going to be interesting to see what Briar picks up, and if we can sort of treat these cows, we might as well. I'd like to get them in calf as early as possible, so it is pretty cool stuff that we can do with it. But I've got, today's the 27th, so I've got at least another 10 days, 10, 11 days, and if these cows do come on heat within now and then, it means we'll have to do less. There have been 2 overnight, or 2 in the last couple of days, that were on that list and have actually come on heat. So hopefully by the 9th, it might have come down a little bit, or the 10th. I'll just check the day actually. I think she's going to come on the 9th or the 10th, one of those days. So hopefully by the time Briar comes around, there's only a handful of cows that haven't cycled. But like I was saying, it is pretty cool and interesting information, but then again, it's, do you want to do something with the information as well? Like I was speaking to someone the other day in discussion group who's got collars as well, and it was saying, you know, our reproduction rates are generally pretty good. These cows that we have to treat, do we worry about it? Do we spend money on them? Or do we just let them, or try and let them come on themselves? Eventually they will get in calf, or if they drop out empty, it's good for our own fertility, you could say. So I can sort of see each side of the story, but we'll try it this year and see how it goes. There might only be a dozen cows, so it's not so bad. I'm still learning my way around some of these functions on here, but I've clicked on heat here because I am into events. So these are all the cows. I've clicked on heat and I have put the date from the 6th of September, that was 3 weeks ago, to yesterday, and that is 3 weeks. So that's what I want to sort of know, how many cows cycled within those 3 weeks. I'll hit apply and it's brought all these up, and there's 223 of them. So next, if I get the calculator, because this is pretty important at the moment, I want to go 223 divided by 300, or do I need to go the other way? Times by 100. 74% of my cows have cycled in the last 3 weeks. That's pretty high. That's really high. So that is good to see. I didn't think it was quite that high. I thought it was only about 65, so I might have to go and double check that. It seems to be right, but that number might be inflated just a little bit because there might be like a double up. So if a cow came on heat 21 days ago and then she came on 20 days after that, she'll be in there twice. So it might not be 74%. It might be a little bit lower, but that's still, I am still pretty happy. They say you want to have about, 3/4 of your herd, so at that 75% mark at the start of mating, I think it is, and then you have got a good chance of hitting 90% of your herd cycle within the first 3 weeks. So in New Zealand, if you're not watching from New Zealand, if you're watching from somewhere else in the world, because we only calve one, or within quite a short window of about 10 weeks, we want as many cows to come on heat as quickly as possible because they have the best chance of getting in calf. And that's why it is so important to try and get these cows cycling before mating starts, because at least if they're mating, they've got a good chance of getting in calf. And that's the whole point of our business, is you can't make milk if cows don't calve. So that's why this whole thing is pretty important to me. But I might just change that date to just over the last week, because that might give me a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That might just give me a better idea. So 83%, or 83 divided by 300 is 27%. And 325 is 75. So that could be right if we're getting 20 or almost 30% a week cycle. Oh, maybe. Well, that's pretty good if it is. I'm pretty happy with that. One other cool little thing though with these Tru-test collars is that Kevin came down from Ireland. He works over there for them. He came down and had a sort of a week's visit around a few farms that use them over here. He just wanted pure feedback pretty much. He said, like, give it to us. What do you want? What's your wish list? And I said to him it would be quite cool to have a search feature on the app. So in the app you've actually got to go to you've got to click into something, then you've got to click or write what animal you want to look for. But it would be quite cool to have a search feature. It's only small, but a search feature on the main page, like when you click into the app. That was 2 weeks ago, and they've already put it in on the computer version. So once it's all good in here, it should come through to the app pretty soon too. I know it's only something pretty small, but it is cool to know that they're listening and trying to make it better for us. They're always trying to improve them. You know, it's the small things that make the difference. But check that out, Big Yellow's out. Oh, that's nice. It's actually got really windy. Well, it's not too bad down here, but up top it's quite windy, so that'll dry things out. However, I have put the girls on the feed pad. They're almost finished on here. There's actually a cow there. The lock, there's like a little plastic lock on the collar, and the belt goes through it. I need to sort that one out tomorrow. It's just coming out of there. But regarding like maintenance on them, I've had 2 come off the cows 2 cows slipped their collars in the last year. I've almost had them on a year, which isn't too bad. Look, there's a cow with a new collar or a new weight just there. I think on one of them the weight had come off and then it slipped over its head, but at calving time I went around and adjusted all the collars that needed it. Like the younger cows, if they got a little bit bigger, they'd need like an extra hole just to make the collar a little bit bigger to fit them, and it wasn't too bad. I didn't have to adjust too many of them, but you do have to sort of keep a little bit of an eye on them and make sure everything's fine. Keep checking, make sure the units are still going. So I've had them on, what did I say, almost a year, and the battery life it says for them is down to 95%, so which is pretty good. Like, it's only 5% in a year, although maybe once it hits like 50% in the future it might drop off more rapidly. It might use more battery, I'm not sure. They do say that if you're in range most of the time it uses less than if it's trying to look to upload stuff, like if they go out of range for a lot of the time. But other than that, they've been going pretty well, and it is pretty cool, the information like I've just shown you that we do get from them. It's actually the next day now. The weather hasn't improved today either. It's been so wet. We've had these showers roll through, and some of them have been pretty heavy. You can see one is straight over there. However, I got a delivery today. I got these 4 boxes of collars. The semen bank also turned up, which is good. But here they are here, and they look pretty choice. Like I was saying, that yellow weight looks good. It's actually a little bit different than these ones. So they have improved them a little bit. So what they've done is, by the look of it, made them just a little bit smaller and made them wider. You can see there's a little bit of a difference there. These are the black collars I was saying. So they're pretty much the same. Oh, it looks like different sort of material actually. But it looks very, very snazzy. And there's also, see this yellow thing here, that's the lock. So you put the collar, or that bit there, through there, and it sort of locks that in place, whereas these were just a bit of plastic and they were really hard to get through that. So these look a lot better. When I swap them over now, like if any weights come off, all I need to do is just undo this, slide the unit off, which is pretty easy, and then slide it onto the new one, like so. It goes this way. There's an arrow on here, so it needs to go through there like so, back through there, and it will sit roughly there. This is that lock. Oh, that's so much easier. And that's the new ones. Looks very cool with that yellow weight. Oh, look at that, the sun's out for a bit. We need some more of that. It's actually supposed to turn pretty horrible over the weekend. But I had one of those anestrus cows actually come on heat today, which is good. So it's taken her 2 months since she calved to cycle, but she's had a nice strong one, which is good to see. So that's one less we won't need to check in, not next week, but the start of the following week, which is good to see. So hopefully some more of them come on like that. But apart from that, that pretty much will wrap this video up, guys. So give it a thumbs up, that'd be awesome, and see you next time.